Hey guys, welcome to the part one of the live. My name is Dr. James Spencer, the Balance and Movement Doc, and we have the inBALANCE team joining us with Coach Don Stanley and Coach Mike Katz. Welcome, fellas.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, so I'd like to, talk to a few of the listeners a little bit about my story and how we got into balance, and a little bit about y'all's experience as well as training athletes and clients in-house. Initially I grew up skateboarding, and clearly there's a lot of balance required in that sport. And then taught a little bit of wakeboarding in college, taught in a circus school, taught tightrope walking actually, and slacklining in chiropractic school. And that was a lot of my study break. So a little bit of variability and variety with the balance skill as a requirement for these demands of the sport. And as I was growing up and consulting for a lot of these athletes and organizations that we all know or may work with, I realized one of the common denominators with these guys was that they lacked balance. And so seeing not only my youth and growing up throughout the board sport community, and then in the chiropractic and sports performance realm, I noticed that that was something that was lacking and could possibly even be causing some of the injuries in the athletes that we saw. So as I looked into that, and then as we know some of these CDC statistics that we see on slip and fall injuries, it really brought the team together of how are we going to create this balanced niche and really help people out in this time where, whether it's performance or in truly preventing falls down the road. So that's how we all joined up. And my question for you guys as the listeners is, can you relate to that? Is it a previous injury that y'all have had, or maybe a grandparent or a family member, whether it's your mother or father, who have fallen and caused chaos, whether it's on the family or financial difficulties on the family? And from our standpoint, Coach Don and Coach Mike, we all know that with this is something that is preventable, and it's time to learn about balance, to educate yourselves about balance, and really prevent any future injuries to yourselves. And for some people who have kids, this may be an opportunity to improve your kids' performance, whether it's on the field and or life longevity. So, Coach Don, I'd appreciate you chiming in and giving your 2 cents on what you see in your performance facility and your previous experiences as well.
Absolutely. So, I spent a couple decades working with professional athletes. I spent a lot of time in my career with that. These days, I'm working a lot more with executives and busy professionals. And the reality is that for most of us, our lifestyle, we're simply moving less. So when you start to consider movement, myself, I've spent nearly 3 decades standing in a gym. So I reached a point where, if for no other reason, variety's sake, I started to seek out, physical activity outside of the gym. So I started to explore as an adult a lot of, athletic things like surfing and, martial arts and different things. And I kind of came to the conclusion for a lot of my clients that there's a movement insecurity. We move less, so we're less proficient at movement. And we consider, like, I live in Florida, so part of the draw of Florida is living an active lifestyle. So we get out there and we want to explore different things like paddle boarding or bicycle riding or whatever. And you get the sense very quickly that people have a movement insecurity. So you kind of dig deeper into that. And what we see in the gym is that, at the fundamental foundation of that is just a lack of balance. And that's certainly reflected with my athletes, whether it's professional, semi-professional, or even weekend warriors. The more that we looked at this balance issue, the more we saw deficits, and the more that we learned about the correlation between those deficits and injury. So it really kind of comes full circle wherever you start, whether it's an athlete dealing with injuries or whether you're just somebody that wants to be fit and get more active. Balance is just a huge component to health and movement.
Yeah, thank you for that. Mike, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I feel like you see balance come into play, and all ends of the spectrum, whether it be, a high level athlete or you're just regular Joe and Jane. It's going to be a part of their life, whether they realize that or not. And in my profession, one of the things that I've really noticed is that lack of awareness that this is something that they need. And through the assessment processes that we've developed, as well as some of my own, I see from a very beginning points of our relationship, when I meet a client, that there might be an issue going on. And one of the things that, you've told me, Dr. Spencer, and I think it really rings true, is that awareness is curative. And I think once I go through an assessment process or do an exercise with one of my clients, and that light bulb goes off, wow, why am I having such a hard time doing this? That's the buy-in right there, is they really see the value in what it is that we're doing, and they don't realize, until that moment, that they do have very insufficient balance for what they really require, to be a movement skill. That, I just saw that as recently as last week. Someone came in, high level athlete, and he's been having knee issues. And the second that I, assessed his balance, right away, his mind was absolutely blown. So we've made some really good strides, and even the last couple of weeks, you can see some differences pretty quickly, and he was pretty proud about it. But I look at it from a holistic perspective, and when I look at balance, I think about who it could help, and it could help everybody. I got involved in balance, from an early age. My mother started a nonprofit with senior citizens, and I saw the balance issues, very early, in my life. And I realized that this is something that needs to get addressed. And when I started in this profession, that was one of the things that I really wanted to focus on. And being in Florida, as Don mentioned, there's a really wide variety of people down there, and older adults is one of them. And they've had a number of different injuries, or whether that be a hip, an ankle, a knee, a back, so on and so forth. But one of the things that I really saw as a consistent stream throughout, was balance. And this is something that I felt was an area that we could really make a difference.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I do appreciate that. Go ahead, Don.
I just wanted to add, I think you guys would agree that, when we looked at the CDC statistics and started to really understand the impact of falls and injuries on seniors, we saw that part of it. But what's become just absolutely unequivocal to me, is the link between aging and longevity and balance. I would say at this point, I'd be hard pressed to pick which is more important to healthy aging and longevity. Strength training, resistance training, and balance are right there with each other. So I think if people really understood how much of a factor balance training was on anti-aging, you'd see a lot more emphasis on balance in fitness.
And to add to that, some of these CDC statistics that we talk about is, in the US, we spend $50 billion a year on non-fatal falls. Just imagine if that's something that we could prevent, whether it's 1% or even 10%. That's a huge amount of money. And when we look at another statistic, is by 2030, they're expecting 7 fall deaths per hour. Again, that's too concerning. And from a standpoint where we know that we can help people, whether it's to educate them or to get them back out onto balance and play, that's an aspect that we all feel is part of the humanitarian mission, is to help people and guide them on this.
I think as career fitness professionals, when we look at that, it was like similar to COVID, where when they came to the realization that one of the best things that you could do to be healthy is to be active. The same thing with the slip and falls. I mean, we as career fitness professionals, it's a massive opportunity for us to improve people's lives. And so, it's hard pressed to not focus on that mission.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that's something that we know moving forward is really why we've jumped into this whole imbalance training and imbalance program, is to keep it simple. You don't need a balance beam or a slack line or anything like that. It's as simple as just teaching people how to walk on a piece of tape or how to stand on one leg. And Mike and I, we just saw a research article came out last week on literally how easy and beneficial it is just by standing on one leg while you brush your teeth. right? And if we're doing that twice a day, look how that can now build consistency to your balance program and improve that in a quick amount of time.
Absolutely, Spence. It's all about the little things, and just kind of getting started. And that's one of the things that I know you and I have talked about is how can we simplify this for people? How can they just integrate into their daily lives? Can they balance on one foot when they're in the line at the grocery store? All these things, brushing your teeth. These studies that there's coming out with about the benefits are just incredible, and it's as easy as just 1 or 2 times into your daily life.
Yeah, thank you. Don, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that, in terms of fitness, when fitness is really fun is when you're fit. When you're fit, you're capable, and it's just easy to, explore, enjoy yourself doing a lot of things. And I would say that certainly rings true for balance. That I don't think that, we started to realize that most people have a conception of what balance is, and it's all over the place from, bend over, tie your shoes to, being a high wire circus performer. But balance in particular, balance is really fun and enjoyable when you're good at it. So, the more that you explore balance training, aside from all the health benefits, it just really opens up a whole window, a lifestyle of being able to explore movement and play and really integrate it into your life. So there's a lot of really positive benefits to it, but there's also a lot of incredibly fun and enjoyable benefits to it as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, Don. I think that's a very valid point too, is getting people back to the aspect of play. And really, this is the question that we have for you in the audience is, if any of this resonates with you or you would like to learn more, please like and share and comment. And I know Mike, Don, and I are going to be doing more of these. We're going to have another Instagram live this week and YouTube live as well. And any questions you guys have, just letting you guys know we're here to help on the balance front, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Don. Cheers.
Much appreciated.